everyone. I'm very happy to be here. My name is Marina Feferbaum. I am a law professor here at Fundação Getúlio Vargas, and I am very happy to be here with Professor Martin Bohmer. He is a very important person in my life, in my studies, because everybody that has studied legal professions and legal education has read it, has work. So I'm very, very happy and thankful for you to be here the whole week with our students. And I would like you to introduce yourself and tell everyone about your path, your work, and everything that you've been writing and especially teaching here in Brazil. Thank you so much for being here.
No, it's a real pleasure to be here. When my experience in law school wasn't the best, because I hated to study by, just by memorizing texts and stuff. But I was really lucky because I had incredible professors of legal theory and philosophy of law. Professor Eugenio Bullig and Carlos Nino. I studied with them legal theory and philosophy of law, and I was able to work with Carlos Nino during Argentina's transition to democracy, and discussing with him and working with him in the ways legal profession, law in general, should accompany that transition from dictatorship to democracy, and how Argentina will never again go into an authoritarian government and the violation of human rights. Those two experiences, my trauma with legal education and my hope in constitutional democracy, made me very eager to study and to think about how to change legal education in Argentina and in general in Latin America. The idea was that the way Latin America used to teach law and to train lawyers and judges had to do with the old ways, the old authoritarian codified ways. And if we are going to transition to a constitutional democracy in which lawyers and judges change their practice, they have to not only apply the law, but also think about constitutional issues and think about public policies and how to change and help the other branches of government to make our societies better. Well, then you have to change their training. You have to change the way you train them. So that's my path with legal education. I was able to work as a dean of a couple of law schools in Argentina. My dissertation at Yale Law School was about legal education in Latin America. But I also worked and I taught about it, and I taught legal theory and constitutional theory. But at the same time, I have another life that has to do with work in the civil society. I was lucky enough to create a couple of NGOs that still work with civil rights, public interest law. I taught as a clinical law professor in some law schools, and with great students, and we were able to change a few aspects of our law. We worked in discrimination against women, discrimination of people with disabilities, environmental issues. And that taught me that clinical legal education, in general, the idea of legal training and skills and legal education as an activity, was a way to build a bridge between the two things that I really care about: legal education and public interest law. So mostly that's what I've been working.
Yeah, that's super interesting, because it's very similar, the situation in Brazil that you just described, as all the challenges that we have in legal education and how far from the real world and the practice is this type of teaching in our society.
Yeah.
And also, I would like to hear more about your course that is very interesting that you are giving throughout this week. Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Yes, the course is called The Role of the Legal Professions in a Constitutional Democracy. And the idea is to show, I think that we Latin Americans don't realize the traumatic transitions that we are still going through. We transitioned from authoritarianism into constitutional democracies, very demanding constitutional democracy with a lot of rights, with a lot of procedures in order to try to secure those rights. And also we transitioned from written procedures into oral procedures. We transitioned from inquisitorial system into adversarial system. So the professions are undergoing a very difficult transition, very difficult transitions, I would say. The idea is to discuss that moment. I think there are two visions that conspire against the possibility of us Latin Americans to actually change our institutions in order to make our system better. One vision is the formalist vision. The formalists say that the only thing we have to do is to know the texts of the law and apply them as if they were easy and clear, and we know that's not the case. We know that there's a lot of discussion and deliberation in society, in law, that we need to take care of. But the other attitude is, since there's all these discussions about how to interpret the law, judges can do whatever they want, and they should be militants of whatever causes they think they should be militants of. And in both cases, law is lost, because in one is as if it's conservative, and the other is supposedly more revolutionary, militant, but in fact it gives the judges all the power and takes the power away from democratic branches into the judiciary. So what we are trying to discuss in the course is whether there's a middle way, law as a practice, as a moral practice, but as a practice, political practice, that should be careful that we are part of the democratic system. We have to take care of the democratic system, make it better. Two things that are difficult to preserve and to make better, but that's what we should do. And legal ethics, something that we never talk about, it's key in that challenge.
Yeah, that's very interesting, because we are facing a challenging moment now for democracies in Latin America. Right. You can see in Argentina the situation, and I would like to understand now, Professor Bohmer, what are going to be your future works about that? What are your plans, and how you would connect with the topic in Latin America?
Well, one plan is to open up the discussion about legal ethics again, as I just said. Legal ethics, the professional ethics in Latin America is not taught in law schools, though we do have codes of ethics, both for judges and for lawyers. I think we should go back to those texts and make them more attractive, so people don't laugh when you tell them that lawyers shouldn't lie, that lawyers shouldn't do any chicaneries, that lawyers and judges should, not only be independent, but appear as independent, appear as impartial. So that kind of ethos of the profession is something that I would like to work with. Not only academically, I think we need a lot of more research on that, but also I would say professionally, or even with legal education, how you train judges or future judges, how you train lawyers or future lawyers, in order not only to do what they should do as lawyers and judges, but also to behave the way they should behave, in order for the people to trust us in order for them to give us their conflicts, and not to take their conflicts away from the law. If they don't trust us, people either use violence or they take their conflicts to drug lords or to religious figures, and conflicts do not end the way democracy wanted, through law. So we need to be attractive to them, and attractive means that we should be trustworthy, legitimate, that we are impartial, that we work for them, that we work for the law, that kind of thing. And I think that attitude is still not very conscious in our professions, and that's what I want to work with.
Wonderful. And just our final question, could you give some information and some literature or whatever you would like to recommend to all that are watching this video, that you could tell us where to find more about legal ethics, because it's very challenging, and especially in Latin America. But if you have other references that you think it's important, like you mentioned, in the US there is a group that is working on that. Yeah,
there's in the global north there's an institute called International Association of Legal Education, and they are a group of big group of legal ethics professors of legal ethics, and they have a lot of information. A group of Latin American professors that we are teaching legal ethics are now trying to work with them and to publish our writings on legal ethics. Some efforts has been done. For example, in Argentina, there are a few handbooks that were published in order to teach legal ethics. They are in bibliotecadigital.gov.ar, and there you can find courses, handbooks, both for the teachers and for the students.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah. So we are starting with that. We'll see where we're going.
Yeah. Well, one more time, I would like to thank you so much for being here. It's been a wonderful time for me especially, and for all of our students. So thank you so much, Professor Martin Bohmer.